Welcome to Muddy's Whitetail 101. This week I'm going to be talking about water holes, and I'm going to be talking about bachelor groups. And if you remember back to my very first episode this year, 2 episodes back, I was talking about the fact that bucks have a summer range and a fall range. Sometimes these overlap, but a lot of times they don't. And your first indication that life in the whitetail world is changing is when you see these bachelor groups break up and these bucks disappear off the open areas where they've been feeding. Last week I talked about the fact that the changing food sources can affect where they're feeding at, so you may not see them quite as much in the opening or in the open areas when the acorns are dropping as you did before that, but that's a natural occurrence that takes place every year, whether there's a good acorn drop or not. Early in September, which is where we're at right now, the bucks start shedding their velvet, and again, that's an indication that this whole process is changing. It's all dependent on the testosterone levels in the bucks. That's what starts the velvet shedding process. That's what causes the bucks to be less tolerant of each other. That's what makes them break up their bachelor groups and seek out their own fall ranges. The testosterone just gets them edgy. They just don't like each other anymore. And it just gets increasingly more in that type of behavior as we get towards the rut. Their world changes, and it's starting right now, evidenced by the shedding of the velvet, breaking up of the bachelor groups, and that's the trigger that says, okay, now it's time to get more serious about finding these bucks back again in their fall ranges. The process of finding the bucks back really starts for me in about a week, but I'm going to give you the heads up on what the steps are right now so that you're prepared to jump into it. The way that I do it here is maybe a little bit different than the way you're going to do it, because it's legal to put corn in front of a trail camera in Iowa. In other states it is as well. Some states it isn't. So you have a certain, you have to know your regulations. Call your local game warden, ask him what you can do, and don't mess up your hunting area by doing something that later can come back and bite you. So I'm trying to get a really quick inventory of where these bucks are at. And for me, that starts around the middle of September. So in about a week or so, roughly thereabouts, I'm gonna start breaking my Muddy Pro Cams out in force and getting them scattered around the farm in some of the places that historically I know are good places to pick up bucks. And we can talk about that next week, what makes for a good location to put a trail camera in order to pick up as many deer in that area as you possibly can. But just suffice it to say that I've got my cameras out now, and I'm focused on trying to get the quickest inventory that I can with my cameras on corn. And if I was putting my cameras over trails or over mock scrapes or on the corner of a food plot or something like that, I can still do this, work my way through this whole process. It's just gonna take a lot longer at each individual location to figure out what's there versus being able to just pull the deer in, boom, got all my pictures, get the camera and the corn out and move on to another part of the farm. So anyway, I'm casting a wide net, trying to get my inventory of what's out there as quick as I can. And you've got about a 2-week transitional phase yet. I would not say that what you start finding in the middle of September is exactly what's going to be there at the start of October. Once I find them, I don't get really super carried away just yet, because my season is still a ways away. But I'll bring a couple more cameras into that area, and I might stay on corn in a couple other areas, around there, maybe a couple 100 yards away, places where I'm trying to get a feel for what is the size of this buck's range. I'm still, just kind of forming the whole big picture in my head. And then once I get serious, as we start getting closer to the season, maybe with a week to go or thereabouts, all my corn is gone. I'm gonna start running cameras closer to my tree stand locations. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, where exactly are these deer coming out? And more importantly, what time of the day are they coming out? So that becomes more of the patterning, the second phase of the patterning process. And I'll talk about that, as we get a few more episodes into the Whitetail 101 as well. And if you're hunting a small area, you don't have a lot of options to go looking for those deer. They may have moved just a little ways, and now you're just on the fringe of the range of 1 or 2 of these bucks. It's possible that some of these bucks are going to swing back through again later in the season, and their ranges may change. Like I said, it's still fluid, but just be prepared for the fact that they're not necessarily going to be in the same place in the middle of September that they were in the middle of August. Okay, so to summarize this and reiterate, the trail cameras are the key to finding back these bucks when they start to break up their bachelor groups and start settling into their fall ranges. I'm going to talk now about how to actually hang a tree stand. I talked last week about how to pick a tree stand location, focusing on entry and exit routes first, and then the deer movement and the deer sign as a secondary. So you found the perfect tree for your stand, and now we're going to talk about how to actually hang your tree stand in that tree. It always starts with safety. We never climb a tree now without using the Muddy safety harness and the lineman's belt. So now we've got tools that allow us to stay safe. We're climbing, we're putting in either the sticks or screwing in steps, whatever's your preference. A lot of people like to use the sticks because they can get up the trees quicker. When you come to a branch, all you do is just take it around the top of the branch and click it back in again. So you're never disconnected from the tree for more than a few seconds. Get all the way up. At this point now, you should hopefully have your stand on a rope, and you can pull it up, and you're just hanging, suspended from your harness with your lineman's rope around the tree. You've got two hands to work with. You're in a safe, not convenient, but a safe, stable position in the tree. I like to hang that stand on the back of the tree, the opposite side of the tree from where I expect the deer to be moving. And I think that's the real tip of what I'm getting to here. Obviously safety was super important, and I really emphasize that. But the second thing I'm really going to come in on here is which side of the tree to put your stand. And some people like to put it where they're sitting all the time and the deer movement is to their left. So they're basically silhouetted in the tree. So the deer are going by, they got this easy shot where they can pull up and shoot from a sitting position. If they're just passing through, you might be able to get away with it, but if they're going to be there for a while, you need to be behind the tree standing. And it's not super convenient or comfortable, but it's super effective. So now I've got this tree that's about the size of my body, hopefully, that's between me and the deer. I can hide behind that tree and peek out the whole time that those deer are going by. I can even lean a little bit and stay behind it where all that's exposed is basically a shoulder and maybe one side of my face. If it's a deer that I want to shoot, I have to pick which side or the other of the tree I'm going to draw on and make my shot. But if you've got that spot rehearsed very well, you know how they move. You've got it in your head, okay, when they get to here, I'm gonna do this. When they get to there, I'm gonna draw. You've got it kind of mapped out. You just have to lean out to make your shot. The rest of the time, you're hidden behind the tree and the deer have no idea that you're there. And you can get away with a lot when you set up a stand that way. I challenge you around hunting or feeding areas to be able to stay out there for very long without the deer seeing you if you're sitting on the side of the tree. But I know that if you get on the back of the tree, you can get away with that for, multiple hunts without the deer ever picking you out of there. So that's my tip for tree stand placement, tree stand safety. We'll keep hitting on these themes as well as we go through all these episodes of Muddy's Whitetail 101. Well, I appreciate you joining me. We'll see you right back here again next week for the next episode.